Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to Harry's Highlights. On this video, we're going to be talking about the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, this book is all about salesmanship and success. It's about the story of a poor camel boy who applies personal development to achieve massive success. He wanted to become worthy of marrying the king's daughter. He realized that based on his background and everything he had at the moment, he didn't have a lot to offer. But what he could offer is worthiness. He believed that if he applied personal development to himself, he could become a man worthy of marrying the king's daughter, even though he didn't have any sort of physical possessions, materialistic possessions. So the story goes, he goes to one of the local wise men and he says that, I want to become better. What do I need to do? Tell me what it is and I will apply that until I become worthy of marrying the king's daughter. The wise man then gives him 10 scrolls and says, read these 10 scrolls 3 times a day for 30 days. And then the idea behind it was that the more that he reads the words in these scrolls, the more these ideas and thinks about them, the more these ideas will seep into his mind and change his behavior. So what I love about that is that it shows that there is a recipe to success. It's not something that you're born with. It's not something that is unachievable or for the select few. It's a system. It's a recipe, something that you follow, a roadmap. We want to bake a cake, you follow the recipe, you'll make a cake. It's the same as if a chef does it, same as if the home cook does it. Same thing with success. No matter what country you are, no matter what age you are, if you follow the recipe, you will achieve something. And that's what I really want to talk about there, is about understanding that this is not for the chosen few. It's for the few that choose. If you look at this as a skill and not as a talent, you then retake control and have the ability to be able to decide where things go. A skill is something that can always be worked on, sharpened, improved. A talent is something that you're just born with. So when you look at it as a skill, you then have the opportunity to be able to decide, just as that poor camel boy did, that just because my circumstances like this today, that doesn't mean they have to be that way tomorrow. So the 10 scrolls that he's instructed to read, the first one was about habit. Now, habit is something that everyone has, good and bad. And this scroll talks about that your past doesn't dictate your future. Even though all your habits, all your decisions, they've all brought you up to this point, you can change those and make sure that your future is different to what your past is. And that's exactly what he did. He kept reading these scrolls until the point that his habits changed. He started to make decisions differently that benefited him. He started to make decisions out of character instead of comfort. The second scroll he talked about there was about love. You have to love yourself. If you are speaking poorly about yourself, you're speaking negatively to yourself, you are going to feel the effects of that on some degree, sometimes more consciously than others. There was a great study once it was done in a school classroom, just to prove the simplicity of this. A classroom of students there was given 2 plants. They said, this one plant here, it was a seedling, just had been planted. It says, for the whole time that we have this plant, I want you to speak nothing but positive things to it. Talk about how great this plant is, how brilliant it's going to be, how much it's going to grow, the potential it has. And even though that is small now, one day it'll be a huge, magnificent plant. The second plant, I want you to speak nothing but negatively to it. I want you to put it down and tell it it's worth it and it has no chance of ever becoming anything greater than what it is now. It's that it should stay in the dirt and that's where it belongs. The difference in those 2 plants, after 1 month of saying those positive and negative words purely and nothing else to those plants, at the end of the 30 days, the plant that spoke nothing but positively grew more than any other plant that those children had ever seen. The plant that they spoke nothing negatively to wilted and died. The difference, the only difference, was that one plant was spoken to positively and the other plant was spoken to negatively. Now, if that is not a great example of how the power of words, thoughts, and positivity and negativity. A plant died, even though it was watered, had enough sunlight, nutrient-rich soil, purely because of the negative words it was said to it. So can you imagine the difference in what your potential growth would be like if you cut out all those negative words that you say to yourself? And we're all guilty of it. If you cut out those negative things that you say, those put-downs that you have at yourself, if you change them all to positives, how much better and further would you be in life? How much more success would you have? What else could you have achieved or will you achieve if you change your mental attitude to positive instead of negative? Let those plants be an example of the true power of belief, of the subconscious, and of loving yourself, understanding that it is not selfish to love oneself. If anything, it's selfless, because when you can love yourself, you can allow others to love you as well. And that growth that you can then achieve from that will be far beyond anything you could have ever imagined. And that's why it's the second scroll he wanted him to read. The third scroll is about persistence. There's a great saying that says, the stream cuts through the rock, not because of sheer force, but persistence. See, that line there explains that some of the greatest achievements ever made in all of humankind's history weren't based on brute force, power, or even talent. A lot of the time it was persistence. It was a lot of the time facing a lot of adversity, a lot of failures, a lot of setbacks, and pushing through. See, that's why persistence was the third scroll, because anything we do in life, you are going to experience some sort of negativity. And you need to have the persistence to push through that and understand on the other side there will be positivity. On the other side of these obstacles, there will be the achievements and success that you want and desire. And that's why it's the third scroll, that he had to persist for 3 times a day, 30 days, to get the result of becoming a worthy man for the king's daughter. The fourth one there was about purpose. You need to have purpose in your life. You need to make decisions consciously. To drift through life aimlessly is to negate your potential. You need to have some form of direction, some target you're aiming for. Otherwise, you're just existing. And you're missing out on so many experiences, and experiences that others could have as well, because of your lack of purpose. The other one was talking about living in the moment. You need to understand that the things that happened in the past are in the past. The things that will happen in the future. You need to look at the present as the present. There's a reason why those are called what they're called. Because the present is a gift. It is something that you have the opportunity to control right now. The past is done. The future will come. But what you do now is up to you. And that's why it is one of the scrolls that he had to read 3 times a day for 30 days. Because he needed to understand that he has control over, the controllables. That there's some things he has control over, and there's some things he doesn't. And what he does have control over, he should control to his maximum effort, with the best intention. He should look at it and decide consciously what way he's going to go with this, positive or negative. The other one, the next scroll, was about master your emotions. Too often that everybody falls into that trap of flying off the rails, just blowing up, getting angry, losing their cool, as we say. Even the terms to describe them is always about some form of giving up. A master of something has control, has understanding, and knows how to handle it. When you fly off the handle, when you lose your cool, blow your top off, all of those things all require some relinquishment of control. That's why this scroll is about mastering your emotions, because to become worthy, to become successful, to become more, you need to master your emotions. It's not up to somebody else. That's up to you. Then, of course, it talks about laugh at the world. Now, this scroll is about understanding, don't take yourself too seriously. We're all going to make mistakes. That's part of life. But you need to understand that you need to be able to see them, laugh at them, take away the lesson, and move forward. If you dwell on all of those negatives, you'll be just like that plant. You'll start to speak negatives, you'll start to embrace negativity, and that, as we've seen, the negativity will do nothing but hinder you. So the next one is goals and the importance of setting them. Because like we said about having purpose, you need to not only have purpose, you need to have the plan. You might decide that if it's a cake, the purpose is I'm gonna bake a cake. The goal is all the steps and everything you're going to achieve that's going to happen from it. You need to have those goals set out and written out. From anything that might be there. They might be hourly, daily, weekly, monthly goals, but goals nonetheless to keep you on track. Now, on the next goal is about action, because there's no point. No thought without action is almost useless. It's until you apply what you're learning, until you apply whatever it is that you're doing, that's when you'll see results. There is no result without action. And lastly was pray for guidance. But it's about understanding that there is help available and that you should always be open-minded to seeing how if you could do things better. that even when you're at the top, this is a journey, not a destination. That the more that you learn, the more that you grow, the more that you can understand how much more there is out there. And that we never actually reach the top. It's a journey that we're going to continue on forever. And a commitment to growing. Does a tree get to a certain height and then stop? Or does it forever keep growing? Whether it be its roots, its branch, its trunk. Same thing with people. See, what I loved about this book, what it was talking about there, and what I want to talk about is that there is no other profession or trade in the world that has more opportunity to rise from poverty to wealth than sales. It is literally one of the easiest ways that you can regain control of your financial situation and bring yourself into a better standard. See, a lot of people think of it as there's all these obstacles that come with it, but obstacles are necessary. They're necessary for success because they sharpen your skills, strength, and endurance. Or they force you to become better or quit. It's why people win the lottery and then lose it or become a worse situation later on is because those obstacles that you would have if you were to attain that money in a different way, you would learn lessons that would help you to keep that money, hold that money, changing your mindset. And that's why obstacles are necessary, because they help you grow. So to quickly summarize on all of this, I talked about how there's with the 10 scrolls and the importance of it, about habit, understanding your past is not your future. Love yourself. Love yourself so others can love you as well. Persistence. No matter what happens, the water cuts through the rock based on persistence, not based on power. Purpose. Have a direction you want to go in. Decide on where you want to move in what direction and don't float through aimlessly. Live in the moment. Understand that this moment is present. This is what you have control over. Master your emotions because no one else is going to do it for you. A master handles the situation in the best way possible. And that's exactly what you should be aiming to do as well. But laugh at the world. Understand you're going to make mistakes. You're not always going to get it right, but don't take yourself too seriously because of it. Understand that these things happen, take away the lesson and move forward. Have goals. Set out goals that you can achieve, that you want to achieve, so that you not only have purpose, you have the steps to achieve that. Then take action, because there is no result without action. And lastly, pray for guidance. This is a journey, this isn't a destination. The more you grow and understand, the more there is to learn. Understanding that I spoke about how we're talking about that with this profession, there is no other trade or anything like it that gives you the opportunity to take yourself from poverty to wealth. And understanding that obstacles are necessary. For you to become the best you can be, there is going to be a bit of a battle in some areas. But they're necessary for you to grow. They say that storms make trees stronger. And that's because without the storm, that tree won't grow its roots as deep as what it did because of the storm. The circumstances, the environment that you experience, the obstacles that you have, they make you better. Or they force you to quit. Now, we'll be making a lot more of these videos with this training series to help you with your personal development goals. But that's all for now. Until next time, leave a comment below on what you like the most, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the next episode of Harry's Highlights.